Hello, I'm Andy Dean. I am a creative director at a nonprofit called City Year, but I also volunteer as the chair of the Brookline Commission for the Arts, and that's a little bit of why we're here today. Right next to me is a giant turkey that looks like a peacock, and it's by Amanda Hetrick. It's called Plume and Bloom, and this is one of over 50 pieces that we were able to fund through a giant federal grant that I worked on with a bunch of people here in Brookline, a big committee that selected artists from all over, but also from local. Amanda actually lives here in Brookline, very talented illustrator. And why we're here today is because art is a big part of my life. It's a big part of my life here in Brookline. I grew up in Jamaica Plain, but I went to Brookline schools starting in second grade because my mom taught at one of the elementary schools here, and I feel so lucky to have had amazing teachers here in Brookline that really invested in my artistry and in my exploring of what art can be. And from early on, I learned that, you know, creating art just brings wonder and joy and creates new ways to see things, and it can inspire people, it can create change, it can tell a story, it can just change the way a space feels, it can change the way a piece of paper feels. You just need a pencil or a marker and a piece of paper and you can create something new. And that's magical to me, and it's always been magical to me, and I feel so lucky. So at my elementary school, I had an amazing teacher, Bernard Pendleton. Still to this day, I'm in touch with him. He's just like such an incredible person who really cared about his students and really showed us that with art, you can explore the world. And so today, you know, I'm the chair of the Brookline Commission for the Arts. And again, I said, because I wanted to bring more public art to Brookline, and because I think that there should be more magical, wonderful things around us that in our everyday life we just stumble upon. And you know, you might be having a bad day, you might be having a great day, but then you see this turkey that's painted as a peacock, and it might make you laugh, it might make you smile, it might make you wonder, like, who came up with this? How did this happen? And it's just like, it's just a beautiful new thing to interact with, and it changes the space. And that's what I love about what we've done here. And this is just one piece. There's so many right here. It's part of why I picked this spot, is because we can actually walk across these tracks and we'll immediately interact with many more pieces of art. And murals are something that's been part of my life for a long time. I used to work for the Boston Youth Cleanup Corps as a teenager. I painted murals all over Dorchester. And part of why I ended up at City Year as the creative director is because I loved doing volunteer work and bringing art into the community. I painted a lot of murals for City Year. So this opportunity to bring it to where I now live here in Brookline, I was so excited about this. And we had this amazing federal grant where we were able to get a bunch of money as part of COVID relief, the ARPA funds, and invest in our community. And so we have, over here we have two murals. The first of which is by Charlie Malpass. It's called Flight Path. It's of two crows. And again, it's you know, it's kind of funny, there's a little bird theme here, but you know, crows are such amazing animals. They're really intelligent. They're a really interesting bird to interact with, and here we have them big and kind of interacting with nature. I love her use of color to kind of the highlights on the birds. It's just a very interesting way of seeing them big. You know, you're used to seeing them far away and small, and here they're right in front of you, and they're giant, and they're in interesting colors and patterns around them. So it's just kind of a fun thing to have as you walk off the tee and you interact here in Brookline with art. So we'll go up these stairs, and up here is one of my favorites, although I love every piece we did, but I love patterns and color, and just with a few simple shapes and patterns, you can see you can create something magical, and the scale of it really makes it special too. This is by Jason Woodside, and he's known for doing these kind of patterns. He came from out of the state, but he was great. He knocked this out very quickly. And before this was just a plain brick building. The building itself is fine, but now it just has so much color and vibrancy. And I think it really changes the people for just something simple as you're just coming here to park, to go to work or do an errand. And now you have this beautiful thing that you get to see every day. And I think that's really cool. The last piece we're going to go do, we got to walk a little bit further, is one of the utility boxes. And we've done a bunch of them all over town. Hopefully you've seen them. And the utility boxes, this has been done in towns and cities all over the country. It's just a really ugly, either black or gray box that's covering important stuff, but it's just an intrusion on the sidewalk, and most people don't really think about them. They just walk by them every day. But then you put a piece of art on it, and suddenly you're in an outdoor museum, and it's a new canvas that you can see and interact with every day. And so it really changes the way that you feel about these things on the sidewalk and the way you feel about your day, possibly. So the artist up here, Ben Jandanian, I first interacted with his art. I saw that he did this mural at the Brookline Teen Center with high school students, and I just thought it was so cool and such a unique way of capturing a town. And he kind of draws in like a fun, whimsical style, where he creates maps that aren't in any way based on actual proportions and reality, but they capture the essence of the space in a new and fun way. So he actually has done this utility box, and he did a mural in Coolidge Corner. And he's just got a great way of seeing the world. And he was a bike messenger actually for many years, and so he would zip around cities, and he would always see everything and the way that the buildings are and the cars and how they interact. And so he loves to capture that with his art, and you can see it in this utility box we'll see when we cross the street. Funny enough, he also did a mural in my house, in my bathroom. So I have a tiny bathroom that has a giant, all the walls are covered with his drawings, and they're drawings that are of all our favorite places in Boston and Brookline. So it's in his style that we'll see over here. And this one is a wrap. So when we do utility boxes, we do them two ways. One is have the artist paint directly on them, and the other is to do a wrap, which is we get it printed by a vendor and they apply it to the box. And there's another utility box up a little bit further up this street that's also by a local artist. I don't remember her name. I'll have to look it up. It's Heather something. But yeah, here we go. We got the walk signal, so be safe. And what we've done with all of these pieces is we tried to create a connecting, path that you can take and you can see all this art. So if you walk further along this street, you can continue to see art as you get to Coolidge Corner. And you just discover new things every time you walk around Brookline. And you can see there's little faces in there, and there's buildings that are related to what's actually here in Brookline Village, but it's also just a little bit playful and fun, and yeah. And you can see his signature there, yeah. If you want, we can walk to that last one. We've already got a lot, but sure, let's go. She'll have her name on there too, so we can see. But yeah, I mean, I think Brookline is such a great place because we have people from all over the world that come and live here. And you have amazing restaurants, you have stores, you have great places you can go and interact with people from all over. And I think that's also a big part of what art brings, is different perspectives. And I think that's really important because, more gets done and you learn more when you interact with people who have different stories and come from different places. And I think that that's a beautiful thing too, that we bring out with putting more public art out there. It's more perspectives and more ways of seeing things. There's so much that we've done that if you go, when we go to this utility box, you'll then be able to turn around and you'll see a beautiful mosaic piece that was done by a local artist, Bet-Ann Libby, who's been here forever. She started up the art series that happens along the Muddy River I think it happens in the spring, and she brings public art to that space. But she's also a very talented artist, and she did a mosaic, which you'll be able to see when you turn and look across the street. So as you can see, there's so much to see, and it's all here for free for the public to take in. So here's the other box. Heather Mendonca. And it's got a great message. She wanted to inspire people. I love the free high fives. But on this side it says, keep going and growing, because she wanted people to see this and feel like, you know, get a little boost and feel like they can take on the day and go on and do bigger and better things. And you can see, I hope, when I talk about this stuff, the joy that I feel about it all, because it's just it's so much fun to discover a new way of seeing things and to see new art. And I so love working with artists because they deeply care about their work. You know, there's a passion in what they do, and they want to create beautiful things, and they want to put, you know, stuff out into the world for people to interact with. And that's unique. Not everyone's work gets seen by millions of people. And I think that is a special responsibility. And I think that, you know, they really, it's a great thing that they get to add to what Brookline is by putting their art here on display. There's actually two things here. So there's this piece by Bet-Ann Libby, and then there's a piece on the ground, which was done by an artist. I think she's from Watertown, I can't remember, but she did 3 pieces of painting on the sidewalk, and they're all dances, and they're dance moves, and it teaches you how to do the dance. And she worked with local dancers here in Brookline to come up with which dance they wanted to teach people, and how she can paint the steps on the ground for people to do. So it's supposed to be interactive. So if you're so inspired, you can dance on the mural on the sidewalk. So what's cool about this mosaic is the way that it reflects the light. And depending on the time of day you come, it can really feel differently and it reflects, it's, if you can see it, it's of some of the buildings here. So you can see, you know, there's some of the architecture that is in Brookline Village, and what's cool about it is it's also actually reflecting Brookline Village, because it is a mirror and it reflects you, so you get to see yourself in the art. And these are pieces of glass that she collected, but also these are actual negatives from old, I forget what they're called, but they're a type of photography, and they're of Brookline residents that she happened to have. So that's really cool. And the last one, so you can see that it's Kit Collins who did this, and this piece was choreographed by Sudhakishna Viravalli. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. But yeah, so there's a couple of these throughout Brookline, and you can put your feet in there and you can do the dance. I'm not going to do it myself because I will trip over myself. I've got 2 left feet. But it's really cool for, you know, people who can come here and they can experience that. And that ends our tour.